Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This one will be pretty quick here, but a couple of you guys asked for me to go over some defenses that I'd be looking to target. So I thought I'd split it up into two groups here, go over defenses that have great matchups over the next 4 weeks. So defenses that I'd be looking to prioritize and make sure we can get on our rosters to get ourselves into the playoffs. Then I'll go over some defenses that I think are really set up to perform well during the fantasy playoffs. It's sort of that time of year where you can start considering rostering two defenses. I would never recommend that like normally during the course of the regular season, but as we get this late in the year, it becomes all that more valuable to have those guys because these are, you can start a defense every single week. Obviously, it's easier to find a starting, like a player or a team in a defense on waivers that's going to actually crack your starting lineup than it is to find like a wide receiver or a running back there. So when we're trying to optimize just for weekly production, having two defenses on your roster makes some level of sense, especially if you're targeting the right ones. So yeah, I'll go over play defenses with great setups over the next 4 weeks, defenses over great setups over the course of the playoffs, and then we'll wrap it up there. So any additional questions, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, hopefully you guys find this helpful. So highlighting some defenses that I think are really set up to do well over the next 4 weeks. A couple teams that really jumped out for me. The Broncos, not a great setup here in week 11. So Atlanta doesn't necessarily scare you, but it's not the best matchup in the world. But after that, you get the Raiders and the Browns for weeks 12 and 13. They've got their bye in week 14, so that's not great. But for weeks 12 and 13, you can feel really confident in starting the Broncos defense. They're actually also a really talented defense, which is obviously a plus here. They likely roster in your league, but they did just play the Chiefs. Falcons this week, I could see a scenario where they're on waivers for you. So if they happen to somehow be on waivers, go get them. They're going to be really great for you guys in the next 2 weeks, so weeks 12 and 13. The Bucks, they're fantastic right now. They're my favorite pickup. They have a bye this week, so obviously you're not rostering them this week or starting them this week. But this is where I'm talking about it being okay to roster two defenses. After that week, you get the Giants, the Panthers, and the Raiders. So 3 straight weeks against horrendous offenses. Those are fantastic matchups for your defense. You can pick up the Bucks, play someone else this week, and then you're going to be starting the Bucks defense every single week the rest of the regular season. They should be able to help get you into the playoffs with that. The Steelers, sort of an interesting one, but there's also a really good shot that they're available in your league. They just played the Commanders last week. It's possible they got dropped for that game, especially given that they were on bye the week before. They get Baltimore this week. I won't be shocked at all if the Steelers defense hits waivers in a lot of leagues. And next week they get Cleveland. That's fantastic. Cincinnati in week 13, not great, but then Cleveland again in week 14. So 2 of the next 4 weeks, you get to play Cleveland with this elite Steelers defense. That's a great setup. I'm sure Jameis Winston will give you guys a couple presents if you have the Steelers. Roster the Steelers defense. They're going to be really solid for you over the next 4 weeks, at least in those two matchups. Then the Chiefs could have easily gotten dropped this week. They play the Buffalo Bills. That obviously does scare people. But after that, they get Buffalo or Carolina. That's awesome. The Raiders. That's awesome. And then the Chargers. Not necessarily fantastic, but the Chiefs are a great defense. But those weeks 12 and 13 matchups between Carolina and the Raiders, really great setup there for the Chiefs. You could feel really comfortable riding those guys into the playoffs here. And then last year, we've got some defenses that I would be looking to stream during the playoffs. So the Bengals sort of jumped out to me. They get the Titans and then the Browns in weeks 15 and 16. Week 17 against Denver doesn't necessarily excite me, but at least in weeks 15 and 16, I think you could feel pretty good about playing the Bengals defense. They're obviously not a great defense, but they do have an okay pass rush. Tennessee, they'll certainly turn the ball over, as will Cleveland. I think it's a decent setup there, and it won't be hard to get the Bengals defense. They're certainly going to be readily available. The Falcons defense also jumped out. Same thing, weeks 15 and 16 are the better weeks for them, but they get the Raiders and then the Giants to start the fantasy playoffs. You can feel really confident starting the Falcons defense those weeks. Washington in week 17, that's not great. I would be looking for somebody else in week 17, but at least in those 2 weeks, they should be set up nicely. The Cardinals, sort of a similar story, but they have a really great setup for the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. They get New England and then Carolina. They get the Rams in week 17, so I don't love that, but at least getting the Cardinals or the Panthers and the Patriots start out the playoffs there. The Cardinals should be really solid. They've been playing great team defense lately. I think you can trust them there. And then I think of these three, it's really great. It's a really great idea to pair them with the Chargers defense. Chargers defense will likely be available. They play Tampa Bay and Denver in the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. So not necessarily feeling like I want to start the Chargers defense. I feel okay starting them against those teams, but I'd much rather find better options. But in week 17, the Chargers play the Patriots. Really great setup there. The Chargers have been really good on defense lately. They've got a pass rush. They've got some playmakers in the secondary. That Patriots matchup is fantastic. So I think I would be targeting the Chargers defense as a team that should be set up really nicely in week 17. And then I would pair them with one of those three defenses that I listed here. So that'll do it for some defensive options that I'd be looking to target. There are obviously other options as well, so if you have questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to give you guys my opinions on those defenses. Up next, I'll go over more starts and sits. I put out a video earlier today going over the first 7 games of the week. I'll cover the remaining games in a video that'll go out tomorrow night, and then we'll sort of get into more starts and sits and help do what we can to get you guys poised for the playoffs here. We got 4 weeks left. It's win now mode. A lot of you less are in win now mode. If you're 4-6, 5-5, you probably got to start thinking about doing everything you can to win out and get yourself into the playoffs. And you can't win your league if you don't make the playoffs. So we got to make sure we get you guys in there here. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. If you guys have any additional questions, let me know in the comments. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of the future content, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. And then other than that, if you've made it this far in the video, give it a thumbs up. It helps me out. Hopefully you guys liked this one. Should have been a quick one, and hopefully you found it helpful. Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.